Olmec, Toltec, Mexica, Mixtec. We often hear these names when talking about Mesoamerican history. However, without a proper timeline, all these civilizations tend to blur together without much context. So today, we're going to fix that. My name is Chaya, and I'm your local Aztec VTuber, and by the end of this video, you should have a better understanding of when these civilizations existed, how they influenced one another, and how Mesoamerican civilization evolved over thousands of years. Without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the stream. Today we will learn about the major time periods in Mesoamerican history. First and foremost, what is Mesoamerica? Do you guys want to do any guesses?
Is Mesoamerica an instrument?
No, Percy. Mesoamerica is not an instrument. Mesoamerica is a historical and cultural region spanning central and southern Mexico and parts of Central America. It was home to advanced, interconnected pre-Columbian civilizations that thrived for thousands of years. Today, we will review a few of these civilizations and their time periods. We'll go in chronological order, starting at the very beginning. We're going all the way back to the Paleo-Indian Era, or as I like to call it, the Ooga Booga Era. The Paleo-Indian Era spanned from about 18,000 to 8,000 BCE, marking the earliest presence of humans in the Americas. As the Ice Age neared its end, humans crossed the Beringia land bridge from Siberia to Alaska. And yeah, they just walked right over, chat. Look at that. They followed the megafauna, like the mammoth, relying on a nomadic lifestyle with hunting and gathering as their main form of survival. This continued for hundreds of years, leading right into the Archaic Period, or as I like to call it, the not-so-booga. At this point, they had technology. The Archaic Period lasted from around 8000 to 1800 BCE. By this time, the Ice Age had ended and the climate began to change. The megafauna, which humans had heavily depended on, largely went extinct, prompting a search for other food sources. Fortunately, the warmer temperatures allowed plants to thrive, making them a significant source of nourishment alongside hunting. The shift enabled humans to support larger communities and adopt a more sedentary way of life. So here we see the Paleo-Indians with their lovely tools. They were starting to build their canoes, and they were starting to kind of come together in larger groups. It's during this period that we see a lot more developments in tools, such as the at and the axe. So here we see the at, here we see the axe. We even see the emergence of small villages. It is here where the early foundations of civilization take place. And this leads us into our next time period. The Preclassic Period, also known as the Formative Period. But you guys want to know what I like to call it? It's corn! The Preclassic Period spanned from approximately 1800 BCE to 100 CE. Now, if you're like me and get confused about BCE and CE, just think about it this way. The start of CE is during the rule of Julius Caesar, the first Roman emperor. Now here is where things get interesting. I call the Preclassic Period the Corn Era because of how essential maize and agriculture in general was to the development of civilizations. I was actually pretty shocked at how different this era was in comparison to its predecessor, because we got corn and then all of a sudden, bam, we got pyramids, like whole ass pyramids. It's crazy. Now, during the formative period, we see the emergence of the first cities. Our key players are the Olmec here along the Gulf Coast. We also have the Zapotec in the Oaxaca region, and we have the Maya settled in the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, and Belize. Of course, there are many other groups developing alongside them, but for simplicity's sake, we will focus on the aforementioned main three right here: Olmec, Zapotec, and Maya. First off are the Olmec. Their city of San Lorenzo is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, in the region, and it is here where we find the iconic Olmec heads. San Lorenzo eventually declined and was succeeded by La Venta, an even larger city with great influence in the region. Then we have the Zapotec and their city of Monte Alban. Unlike the Olmec sites, Monte Alban persisted well beyond the Preclassic era. And lastly, we have the Maya. Even during the Preclassic period, the Maya were already constructing impressive urban and ceremonial centers across the region. One of the most prominent examples is El Mirador, a massive city deep within the Guatemalan jungle, known for its enormous pyramids and sophisticated urban planning. Another fascinating discovery is Aguada Phoenix, a site uncovered through aerial surveys of the landscape. Beneath the dense vegetation, researchers identified a massive artificial platform hidden within the terrain, revealing yet another large-scale Maya construction project that had remained hidden for centuries. The great cities during this period had many things in common. Through their interactions and overlapping influence, we see the birth of a unique culture that would be adopted and evolved for centuries to come. Major developments in the Preclassic era include the construction of large monuments, like the pyramids, the stratification of society via social hierarchies, the emergence of art commonly commissioned by the ruling class, and the development of writing, religion, and calendrical systems. And this is only the beginning. These civilizations only continue to evolve, which leads us to our next period, the Classic Period, or as I like to call it, absolute cinema. And credit to Marshmallow on Discord for finding this perfect glyph. Also, if you haven't joined the Discord, make sure to join it, okay? Link in the description. Now, the Classic Period spans from around 100 CE to 900 CE, and it has everything their predecessors had, but now on steroids. Our key players during this period are Teotihuacan, the Maya, and the Zapotec, who are still going strong in Monte Alban. Let's check them out. First up is Teotihuacan. The construction of its major monuments began in the Preclassic period, but it is during the Classic period where this megacity truly flourished. During its prime, Teotihuacan was one of the largest cities in the world, eclipsing Rome itself. After all, it was during this time that art and architecture reached their peak sophistication. The influence of this megacity spread far and wide, and it's interesting to see it reflected through art, architecture, and religion across the region. For example, Teotihuacan popularized the talud tablero architectural style, as seen on the iconic feathered serpent temple. The talud tablero style can be observed in locations like Monte Alban, Palenque, and many more. Additionally, we witnessed the rise of the feathered serpent as a prominent deity, which we can note in the Mayan city of Chichen Itza in the late Classic. They were indeed trendsetters and perhaps even conquerors, as it is believed they conquered faraway Mayan cities like Tikal. The name Teotihuacan means City of Gods, which is fitting considering its splendor. However, this name was bestowed upon it by the Nahua long after the city's demise. Teotihuacan started to decline around 550 CE, most likely due to invasions and political turmoil from within. Even then, its legacy remained long after. Next, we have the Maya, who were at their utmost peak during this period. Unlike Teotihuacan, the Mayans spanned across multiple great cities like Tikal, Copan, Calakmul, and Palenque, just to name a few. Of all these sites, Tikal and Calakmul were the most prominent. In fact, they had quite a rivalry. Their influence was so great, they consolidated power around them like gravity. In the end, it was Tikal that emerged victorious over Calakmul. During the Classic period, the Maya achieved incredible advancements in science, mathematics, and governance. They developed advanced mathematical concepts such as the use of zero. So if you see this little conchita, the little conch symbol right here, that is the symbol of zero that they used. They also established a divine kingship where rulers served as both political leaders and as sacred figures tied to the cosmos. The Maya also refined their calendars to great precision, establishing the long count calendar to track vast spans of time. And these histories, dynasties, and important dates were often recorded on carved stone monuments known as the stela. Finally, we have the Zapotec, who dominated much of the Oaxaca region during this time. Their capital, Monte Alban, was still going strong long after its origins in the Preclassic period. Their political and cultural influence only continued to expand following the decline of the Olmec. Y'all, this city is crazy. It was like carved into the mountain. Okay, so evidence of Zapotec influence can be seen throughout neighboring regions, particularly through their distinctive art style. The Zapotec also maintained trade and cultural exchange with the Maya, even adopting aspects of the Maya numerical system into their own traditions. But sadly, all things must come to an end, and the wonderful cities of Classic Period are no exception, which leads us to our next period, the Epiclassic Period. Not because it's epic, but because many of our major players went into a major decline. It's a relatively short period, but significant due to its unique circumstances. During the Epiclassic period, Teotihuacan had largely been deserted. And for the Maya, significant cities began to decline soon after Tikal defeated Calakmul, leading to widespread abandonment of urban areas. And lastly, the Zapotec capital of Monte Alban faced a downturn as they struggled for dominance against the Mixtec. There are multiple theories as to why this decline happened. It was most likely a combination of all these factors, varying from region to region. Let's briefly review them. So we got the decentralization of power, so that means that there was more emphasis on smaller cities than giant megacities. We also have potential invasions, possibly from the Toltec. We also have environmental factors like drought and the degradation of agricultural conditions. And lastly, internal strife, conflicts within and against the ruling classes, a combination of all these factors. In summary, while the Epiclassic period is often viewed as a time of decline, think of it more as a time of major shifts. Not a simple "it's so over," but an imminent "we're so back." So our next period is the Postclassic Period, spanning from around 1000 to 1521 CE. This is the last period in the Mesoamerican timeline. Sniff. So sad. But yeah, I'd like to introduce it with this meme. If classic is so good, where is classic to... The post-classic built upon the remnants of its predecessor, and it was also a period marked by increased militarism. Every state for themselves! Our key players are as follows. The Toltec, inheritors of the Teotihuacan culture. We have the Mixtec, rivals to the Zapotec. And finally, the Aztec Triple Alliance. And you know what they're all about. So let's take a look at them. First, we have the Toltec. As I mentioned before, they are considered to be the inheritors of the Teotihuacan culture. They established their capital in Tula, also known as Tolan, located in modern-day Hidalgo. The Toltecs are often characterized by their militaristic culture and are traditionally said to have extended their influence across much of central Mexico. They were also said to have been great artists, architects, and thinkers whose legacy carried enormous prestige. But do note, Toltec history is one shrouded in mystery and misconceptions, as we are seeing only fragments of it from both a Mexica and a colonial lens. We can do a deeper dive on them another time, but for now, these are the basics. Next, we have the Mixtec, or the Nusabi as they call themselves. They were excellent artisans, metalworkers, and even conquerors. During the post-classic, they rivaled the Zapotec and even overshadowed them. Their influence spread through the Oaxaca region and into Guerrero as well. They established great capitals such as Tututepec and even seemed to occupy the once abandoned Monte Alban. This expansion was thanks to their great warrior king, 8-deer jaguar claw, which we can see here. He is the one who unified the Mixtec and conquered surrounding territories. He also had the support from the Toltec, having established an alliance with one of their kings. Now before we talk about the Aztec, I do want to note that the Maya were still around during this period as well. They just weren't as prominent compared to these rising stars. Some major Mayan post-classic cities include Uxmal and Chichen Itza, which we can see here. Now finally, we have the Aztec Triple Alliance, who rose to power at the tail end of the post-classic period. This powerful alliance was made up of 3 major capitals. We had Tenochtitlan of the Mexica, Texcoco of the Aculwa, and Tlacopan of the Tepanec. Collectively, we can call them as the Nahua. Hey yo, Chaya from the future. Just to clarify, Nahua refers to the ethnic group of Nahuatl speakers. Within that group, we have the aforementioned Mexica, Aculwa, and Tepanec. And the powerful triple alliance that they created can be referred to as the Aztec, hence the Aztec Triple Alliance. The Nahua people began their migrations from the north in the early post-classic, led by their great leader Xolotl. As they arrived at the central basin of Mexico, they assimilated with the Toltec. Over time, the Nahua populated the central basin, establishing multiple city-states who all competed for dominance in the region. In the end, it was the Mexica who rose to the top. After establishing the Triple Alliance, they dominated much of central Mexico until the arrival of the Spanish. And in 1521, their capital Tenochtitlan fell at the hands of the Spanish and their native allies, marking an end to the Mesoamerican timeline as a whole. Can we get an F in the chat for Tenochtitlan? And that, my friends, was a summary of all the Mesoamerican time periods. Almost 3,000 years in one sitting. Wowza! Now, before we end, I do want to point out a few disclaimers. Now, the Mesoamerican timeline is very, very long. And it is very complex. As you can see on this map, there were many cities and groups, all with their own history and achievements. And I just gave you a very surface level summary of the key players. But naturally, I missed a lot of groups. Like for example, we didn't even talk about like the Purépecham. We didn't talk much about like West Mexico. We didn't talk about Cholula. El Tajín was also like really big. So there's like a lot of cities that had so much like depth in their history and had a lot of influence within their time. But if I described all of them, we would have been here all day. But yeah, that being said, I do hope this overview gave you a better understanding of Mesoamerica as a whole. Now that we have this understanding, we can do deeper dives in the future. If you want to learn more about Mesoamerican history, make sure to subscribe to my channel for monthly deep dives like this. If you want to chat with Mesoamerican enthusiasts like me, join us over on Twitch or on Discord. I love ancient Mexican history so much, anywhere you find me, you know I will be yapping about it. Thank you again for stopping by. Until next time, bye bye!